everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I am Cappy Powell, and I'm president of the board of the Johann Fust Foundation. The mission of the foundation is to maintain and preserve the buildings and gardens of the library while providing a literary and cultural center for the residents and visitors of Boca Grande. We got off to a late start this season, but thanks to our programs committee and its chair, Stephanie Furman, and our staff, this is our 6th program here in the courtyard this season. Welcome to Poetry in the Garden, our biennial poetry reading presented by the Live Poets Society of Boca Grande. In addition to the programs we held here, we had 3 events at the United Methodist Church: a documentary on the literary-inspired Oscar-winning films, our annual fundraiser featuring best author C.J. Box, and a poetry class and workshop led by Susan Lilly, where participants spent a full day with Susan as she guided them through the writing process. It was attended by the Live Poets Society and some new wannabe poets. One of them might be an island rock star who's missing her band's practice to be here today. It is a great pleasure to welcome you all, but especially Lindsay Major, a former president of our foundation board and a member of the Live Poets Society. This is our last program for the 2024-25 season, but this was promising to be a very special afternoon.
We always have beautiful weather and beautiful people at Poetry in the Garden. Knock on wood. Thank you, Cappy, for guiding the Library Foundation through very challenging times. And also many thanks to our remarkably talented librarian, Tony Vanover, and to Bobbie Marquis and Julianne Greenberg for not only planning programs like this, but for protecting and preserving this lovely garden and this beautiful pink building, which has served as a beacon to this community. All have helped to uphold those treasured words of Cicero: if you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need. Today, we will hear original poetry from the Live Poets Society of Boca Grande. Some of these poets are new to the Live Poets Society, and some have shared their work with the community through prior events like this and through Island Book Notes. We are pleased that today, Alice Gorman will be launching her book of poetry titled Daffodils in December, Poems from an Unexpected Life. Her publishers, Sena Jeter Naslund and Flora Schildknecht, are here especially in honor of Alice. More about this shortly. I want to mention that Alice's book is selling today with all proceeds benefiting the library. And after the program, Alice will be available to sign her book. We have been enjoying the musical accompaniment of Christian Bell, with thanks to Carol Stewart for sponsoring the music. And now we will begin our program with the poetry of Julia Pierce.
It's a little different for me because it's so personal. So I'm going to read 3 poems. The first one is called Day's End. The beach grows quiet as the last voices fade past the dunes. Waves, like giant wet fingers, deny their existence. The ashes of my friends become the foam atop the waves. They wash away the laughter and the tears. The endless wind blown across the sea whispers promises of future sunsets and sprinkles salt upon the wounds not yet healed. The light reflects too brightly. One cannot stare too long. It burns and leaves a shadow of the coming day. This poem is called The Lake. Suns sink, moon rise. Stars struggle to show their faces amid the darkened sky. Still lake echoes back the silenced motor of a boat drifting from its wake beyond the velvet cloak. Shimmering path from lake to leeward side, follow me. Do not struggle. Do not hide. Inviting, beckoning, leading, a coppery ladder of light set out among the shadows of the coming night. And lastly, this is a poem called Normandy. Clean stone, washed smooth, striated, revealing. No sign of the life the boy gave. No sign of the dreams the boy gave up. No sign of the tears the sea stole. The stone so light and lithe, but too heavy to float. In my hand, remember what was lost.
Thank you, Julia. And now I'd like to introduce George Cochran.
The Pink Shirt. Sitting on the front porch, waiting to greet you. A warm evening, soft light fading, the smell of spring turning to summer fills the air. I see you coming down the block, coming from the train. When you get to the steps, you reach down to hug. You smell of newspaper and cigarette smoke. I didn't know it then, except as a child might, but you had a quiet strength, a leader of men, a proud Marine, now a businessman. Kind and generous, loving to me and many others, we learned by your example more than any words. Instead of anger, you showed disappointment. In later years, I remember the clothes you wore, a pink cotton shirt and a tweed coat. I was eager to learn from you and yet could never get enough. Our time together became less and less as family and career grew. Were you speaking and I didn't hear? Now, in the hollow of your absence, I ache for conversations that could have been. Your laughter and smile still make me smile in turn. I now often repeat stories I've told my children, much as you did with me. You are never far from my thought. I will smile inside when I wear a pink shirt and a tweed coat.
Thank you, George. And now we'll hear from Simonetta Balzer.
Is that my phone? I think it is. It's yours? Yes. It's very special. It's not any phone. The magic tree The ancient banyan still extends its limbs up high, twisted and smooth and almost human, like hairless old arms towards the crystalline sky of this southern island. Its crown of leaves is sparse, its vigor is dwindling, having survived countless vicious storms and other indignities over so many years. Its grip on the ground is unyielding, however. Its roots planted deep in the sand, like hundreds of fingers of its arthritic hands. A majestic horned owl on occasion will visit, scrutinizing the people below with its perennial frown. To the children, the banyan is the magic tree. They joyously run to it as soon as they arrive, like to an old trusted friend. As they climb the familiar grooves and ledges, they feel the tree coming alive again with a patient smile. The thickets of leaves are transformed into mysterious curtains through which they have access to secret rooms, lookouts, and dungeons. They love to re-enter a fantasy world of enchanted woods, wizards, and magic creatures. We watch them and listen to the thrill of their voices. Each year they'll be taller and they will reach higher. We would love to prolong the magic forever, but then soon enough, the tree will return to be just a tree.
Thank you, Simonetta. And now we will hear from Patricia Christakos.
Thank you. The following really happened. I was on a plane searching for a poem, and God appeared. Okay, that's a bit overstated, but it was reassuring nonetheless. The poem's called In 16D and Elsewhere. A few lines, that's all I need to weave, a thread or two for you. But fueled by anxiety and doubt, the insecure poet, that's me, draws a blank. A protective drought, concealing the turbulent, unimaginable sea churning, whirling beneath this calm facade. Torrents of chainsaws and bravado flood my brain. Science sinks while dreamers in courts, arts and letters are discarded, despondent, like the D's and E's, eyes incredulous to be exited and excluded. A few lines, that's all I need to weave a thread or two for you. Meanwhile, fueled by orange Fanta and a Slim Jim, 2 rows up, the boy in 16D draws a world, a personal cityscape, more precisely. Precisely, he begins with 2 parallel lines that become a shirt with sleeves, that hold 2 arms that linger down toward ground, but first, 2 legs, knobbly knees, sneakers with unruly, untied laces. A few lines, that's all I need to weave, a thread or two for you. Meanwhile, back in 16D, those untied, untried laces have grown like beanstalks into multifaceted skyscrapers. One foolish moon, and two avuncular Jabba the Hutt-like creatures who wield giant kaleidoscopes like telescopes while perched on tufts of clouds celestial. Meanwhile, in my mind's eyes, those intricate, untied, unlied laces have latched themselves like sutures to the besieged, the lost, the letters, lifting them upward, onward, out of the current, the muck, the self-inflicted yuck, finally rescued free, their moon-bound, beyond-bound, truth bombs. Meanwhile, miraculously, summoned by the artist in 16D and elsewhere, a gentle voice of reason beyond the treason collects her tears to craft this benediction. May your bullies be banished, vanished, forgotten yet studied like fossils subterranean, and may threads of goodness and grace keep you afloat. May you be the holder and the held, the orange Fanta and the kaleidoscope, the weaver and the thread.
Thank you, Patty. And now we'll hear from Bobbie Marquis.
You look beautiful out there, all of you. What a day, huh? Here we are. Well, I have two poems to share with you today, and the first was inspired by the hurricanes. Like all of you, hurricanes have dominated my thoughts over the past 6 months, and maybe it was because I was reading Percival Everett's book, James, and I sat down to write this poem, that I began to think about the storms crossing the Atlantic from Africa and imagined slave ships of the Middle Passage. Storms. Fall fruit ripens on vines. Afternoon thunderheads bellow across beach and town. Gusts blow from the east. Winds carry Sahara sands, seeds of primeval grain, dust from ancient worlds, echoes of civilizations. I imagine big ships, echoes of tears, memories of those taken, those buried for years, mountains of water, boil and churn, piles of sand bury what was, what we were. We dig, we sift to find ourselves again. And now, my second poem is called At the Bridge, and this is a personal story about my eternal connection to a one-lane steel bridge and the Farmington River that flows beneath it in Canton, Connecticut. High in the Berkshires, the Farmington River starts its cold run, entering Canton around a rocky bend, shallow, stone-bedded. I come to meet you, my son. In summer, we swam there, against the current, then with the current. We sunned on a yellow bank and watched the water dance. The metal bridge, our morning route to school, to work. In autumn chill, running late, messy hair, missing shoes. Mid-span, I stopped. Car windows open. Throw your troubles into the river, boys. You and your brother, with tiny fists, lobbed your worries like invisible stones. Plunk, plop, gone, we thought. Under the steel bridge flows a deep pool that holds my sorrow. We buried your ashes on the bank, jewels in shattered glass. Spring floods came and took you. I go to the bridge now to feel you, where all moves and all is still, where trickles become torrents. And in the breeze, I feel you touch my cheek. In the crow's call, I hear you cry, Ma.
Thank you, Bobbie. And now we will hear from John Thomas.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Someone once asked me, how do you get the inspiration for a poem? And I said, it's something you see or a word that starts the process. And every day when I awake, I have a little mantra that says, the gift of life, use it. So this poem, Being, is about the very process of living. There is a stirring in the thicket of my mind. It is not dangerous, it is kind. It is not threatening, it comforts. Soft and amorphous as a mist on a moor, a calm, still presence in the dark before dawn. A peaceful prelude to the coming of the morn. We pass our days midst the afflictions and affections of life, veering to and fro twixt peace and strife. The constant struggle of yin and yang, the life force that inhabits man. These contrasts provide the spark, that palpable pulse that drives the heart. Swift currents of power propel us on our way to greet and embrace the encounters of the day. And now I have a few haikus that were written after the disaster we had last year. As it says in your pamphlet, haikus is a form of Japanese poem that goes back to 1200. And it seems simple. It's 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and 5 syllables. To me, it seemed a shortcut to a poem, which rather than the 15 stanzas you might otherwise write. But I'm sure in Japanese, it's somewhat linked to the language. So our translations are probably weak forms of the beauty of their lyrics. So this, as we were all PTSD after those horrible hurricanes, I have three hurricane post-hurricane haikus. Hurricane-stripped trees put forth tentative green buds in search, like Noah's Ark. And here's another. Skeletal bone trees erupt with green leaf bouquets, nature's resurgence. The third, the grass bends with grace in a zephyr's soft embrace, dancing with delight. And finally, life is transitory for all living things on earth. Transformation shared. Thank you.
And you wrote those haiku, right, John?
Oh, yes.
Yes. I just want to be sure. Well, you were talking about Japanese poetry, and I didn't want anyone to be confused that maybe those were something you'd brought in. So I knew they were yours. Thank you. And now we will hear from Nancy White.
Thank you. When each of us crossed the bridge following Milton, and those who were on Boca during Milton, it was hard to find words to describe how it struck us. War zone, desert, ghost town, abandoned. And for a poet, the loss of words is the loss of poetry itself. In my case, one day, much later, a couple of lines came to me, and after a while more, which I share with you in part 1 of this poem. And then after a time, by nature's grace, rather than its fury, I could write part 2, a fresh turn to writing as before. I think I should add, for those of you who've put it behind you as firmly as possible, I apologize for bringing it up again. Part 1, the penultimate extinction. It's a misty morning, quiet and still, a beginning release, a transition from the complete and colorless gray of the sky, the earth, and everything in sight, withered, felled, and covered by the Fury's waste. A slurry of septic excretion, sullied salt, fouled water, and filthy sand. But now, the piled, decaying landscaping and rubbish mostly gone, and the stripped earth beneath somewhat browned. The Fury came, not so near, we thought, to destroy the things that brought us here, the natural beauty and man-made fittings meant for comfort and a vital life, or so we thought. But no, the water lashed and pushed, nature engaged, enraged, the reckoning upon us, angry wind, covering water, rupturing earth, furious fire, the greed of man for the earth and its bounty, crushing, suffocating, strangling, dismembering, immolating. In the beginning resides the ending. This is one. The pen is stilled. The spoken word is silenced. Part 2, Notes of Grace. Blackbirds flying in the light of day, a flap of wings, a glide in flight, a turn, a quick thrust up, a sudden drop down, a curving turn through the natural surround, a musical score of fleshed and feathered black notes in the sky abounding. Our hopes and aspirations with them fly. The end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy. And now I will read a short poem of mine, A Forest God. Deep in the woods, the black tree trunks form a nest of stillness. The sound of insects, birds, and my footsteps muffled and dull. I walk with care on the narrow path, slick with dampened slime. Oops, never mind. A birch tree, gnarled and twisted, has snapped in two. Half the ancient trunk rests on the ground. Its bent elbow supports its leafy head. It greets me as if in gentle amusement, like a forest god. And lastly, I would like to read a short poem by Barbara Mooney, whom some of you knew. She was a gifted poet and a founding member of the Live Poets Society of Boca Grande. Barbara is no longer with us, but her poetry is. This is at the museum. I detest pink, but then I met this Manet girl on loan, I think, to that old robber baron Met who hoards each treasure he can get. Ensconced in her cafe, winked at by passing boulevardier, pink lips, pink arms, pink breasts now rule over pink waterfalls of tulle. Before her in a crystal dish, the sexiest plum that one could wish, a princely purple in pink liqueur the amorous chef has poured for her. Enveloped in a rosy haze, I rest my chin in hand and gaze, knowing I totter on the brink of love, in love with carnal pink. We will now have a brief musical interlude, after which we will celebrate the launch of Alice's collection and hear her read some selections. Thank you, Christian. That was beautiful. Flora Schildknecht is an author and editor of Fleur-de-Lis Press. She is here to tell us a bit about Alice's book and to introduce her mother, Sena Jeter Naslund, acclaimed author and founder of Fleur-de-Lis Press. Sena will introduce Alice. Flora and Sena have appeared here at the library in the past as guests of our literary series. Flora and Sena, welcome.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. It's a delight to be here today to celebrate the publication of Alice Gorman's new book from Fleur-de-Lis Press, Daffodils in December, Poems from an Unexpected Life. And it's an honor for me to be here today as Alice's publisher. But it's also very special for me to be here today as the daughter of the founding editor of the Louisville Review and Fleur-de-Lis Press, my mother, Sena Jeter Naslund, who wrote the foreword for Alice's new book and who will introduce Alice shortly. You may be familiar with my mother as the author of one of her 10 books, most notably her New York Times bestsellers, including her Pulitzer Prize nominated Ahab's Wife, as well as Four Spirits, her civil rights novel, and Abundance, her novel of Marie Antoinette. She's also, I wasn't done, she's also the founder of the Spalding University Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing program, of which Alice Bingham Gorman is a graduate. However, my mother and I first met Alice through our mutual friend, writer Lucinda Dixon Sullivan, right here in Boca. So it's particularly meaningful for us to be here today to celebrate the launch of Alice's new book. And now my mother, Sena Jeter Naslund.
Thank you, Flora. It is my great pleasure to introduce Alice Bingham Gorman and her wonderful collection of poems published by Fleur-de-Lis Press titled Daffodils in December, Poems from an Unexpected Life. You can read the book from cover to cover. It flows like a novel. There's a forward chronology to it, starting with childhood, going into youth, and moving toward the adult and the present, showing a life responsive, changing, valuable. Alice Bingham Gorman's poems are contemporary poems that can help you open a gate into your own past. By thinking back, we do enrich our understanding of who we are today. Daffodils in December offers a multifaceted view. There's a piece that is stimulating and another that is reassuring. Here's one of longing and another of fulfillment. Here's some sense of loss, and there, pure celebration. This is a kind and reassuring collection of poems. It expresses appreciation of what has been. It reveals a heart that is actively full of love and gratitude. These are poems that tenderly value the past and help us to value our own time, here and now. Please welcome poet Alice Gorman and Daffodils in December.
How in the world do you thank people, special people in your life, for making your dreams come true? Starting with my girls, my children who are here, who I wish you would stand up, Grace and Eleanor. Many. And where's Bobbie? And Bobbie Marquis. And this wonderful, wonderful library. And the live poets who for 20 years have been so supportive and encouraging. Sena, 25 years ago, in the year 2000, my husband at the time, Aubrey Gorman, and I bought a house in Boca Grande. And we came back when I was recovering from throat cancer. I walked into the Barnacle, and there was a poster
saying Sena Jeter Naslund would be speaking at the library about her book, Ahab's Wife. That book had been given to me that helped me go through very painful radiation for weeks. And I thought, I don't believe she's really going to be here. I came to this library in this very space and listened to her talk about that book. And then someone asked her what she was doing now. And she said, I'm from the South. And I promised myself, if I ever became a writer, I would write about the South. And I thought, I'm a Southerner too. I want to write about the South. And then it just was something magical. She said, and I'm starting an MFA in writing program, a low residency program in Louisville. And my heart started to pound. And whenever your heart starts to pound, you better watch it because it means something. And 3 years later, when I applied, Sena took me. And I have no college degree, but now I have a master's. I am so grateful. And Flora, this beautiful, brilliant young woman who has become the editor of Fleur-de-Lis Press and the Louisville Review. I have had the pleasure of working with her. So, why Daffodils in December? You might wonder, what does that title really mean? Poems from an Unexpected Life. Well, I can tell you, everything in my life has been unexpected. I was an oldest child. I was born and bred in Memphis, Tennessee. I expected to be just like my mother and do all those things and play bridge and all those things. It hasn't worked out quite like that. Anyway, I know that almost every one of you here, and I look out at such dear and wonderful friends, and I'm grateful to every one of you. I know that you have had many unexpected things in your life, too. And so I hope that my book will resonate with you. I want to begin with Daffodils. Impossible, you say, but I stand firm. I hear the voices call me. A burst of yellow trumpets blowing the defiance of spring into the bassoon mouth of winter. Slender green stems, clarions of the spirit, ringing bells of recognition. Madness, you say, as you turn away. Yet here I am, alive with expectation. Someone's asked me from time to time, when did you start writing poetry? And I thought, I actually was in the 6th grade, but I started doing things that has inspired my poetry before that. There are 3 little verses to something called Learning Stages. I'll read the first one. At 4 years old, impatient with lagging grown-ups, I decided to drive my grandmother's big black Packard. After lunging my small foot onto the pedal, I lurched into a tree. My mother, who always played by the rules, punished me for my reckless behavior. My grandmother, who never learned to drive a car, praised me for my courage. I have a feeling that maybe there are many of you who will understand this poem, titled Beyond Choice. Suppose I had been lucky enough to live with my choices instead of my agonizing disappointments. I would have attended Vassar College, instead of Bennett Junior College, once called a finishing school. Imagine my life had I been accepted at Vassar, an average student, one among many. As it turned out, I was a star at the finishing school, an honor student, winner of the Humanities Award and the Bennett Medallion. My art history courses inspired a career. A creative writing course led to publishing a novel. Suppose I had won the Maid of Cotton competition, a singular honor for a Southern woman. I would have been on a plane the very next day, beginning the adventure of a lifetime, a chance to travel the world as an ambassador of cotton. I would have missed the arrival of the man of my dreams, a Yale graduate from an illustrious Connecticut family, a dancer, a skier, a charmer, a man I would marry, a cathedral wedding, 3 children who've added the most valuable dimension to my life. Suppose I had stayed married after 20 years instead of accepting divorce, his choice, not mine. Imagine spending my remaining years as an unloved wife, living an existence prescribed by generations before me. I might have improved my tennis score, mastered the game of bridge, perhaps become a consummate hostess, a more valuable board member. I would never have discovered my creative life, owned a contemporary art gallery on 57th Street in New York City, earned a master's degree in writing, recognized the heart of who I am, experienced unimaginable joy and painful losses, known the true meaning of love. When I married Aubrey Gorman, we had 10 years together, and then he died of lung cancer. The funeral was in Baltimore, but we lived in Maine. When I came back to Maine and went into my house, the experience is something I'm sure that many of you know from your own experience. It's called When It's Over. When it's over, time stops. The hours no longer matter. No more pills, no needles, no anxious hovering, no tormenting speculation. Gone are the days, the endless weeks, maybe months or years of waiting and watching. What's left is silence, the howling sound of silence, an empty space once filled with the soft music of breath. Many, many years followed that, of being alone, 16 in fact. In some of that time, I had these thoughts that came to this poem. It's called In the Eventide. There are days in the eventide of my life when my mind wanders, a searcher with an empty cup, not asking for coins or bread, more in hopes of affirmation, a published poem, an invitation to participate, a currency of proof that I am worthy. Days pass without acknowledgement that my existence matters. Am I a peacock feather in a fan of others? A colorless stone in a tight-fitted wall? Or am I simply a human, slowly learning to trust my cup is unique and full enough. So suddenly you turn around and most unexpectedly, you're 80 years old. The house of 80. From this threshold where I stand firm, I wonder if I'm visible through the windows of my eyes. Can you see the many rooms? Can you tell that nothing has been lost? Nearly everything has been used, and a few things transformed. Do you see the light in my living room? Still shines, and I am still at home. And along comes grandchildren. A love lesson. My grandson touches the wrinkles on my face, looks wistfully into my eyes, and whispers, "Are you still alive? Your skin feels so old. Can you still play and have fun? Do you look forward to summer and your birthday?" "Oh, yes," I tell him, a smile on my 80-year-old lips, a warmth rising in my body. I am alive. I can play and have fun. I look forward to every day. I can't tell him how his life will be, all he may have to endure to still be alive when he is old. I can tell him my secret, my belief in love. I can share the joys I thought would never end, the sorrows I feared I could not bear, the bloom of passion within my youthful body, the garden of pleasures through my middle years, my love of Verdi and Vermeer, of Dickinson and Yeats, creative memories that cannot be taken away, memories that kept my heart open for another to enter, another with memories of his own joys and pain, a person who kept his belief in love, kept his heart open for me. David. And for that, I write gratitude. Here we are, you and I, at rest on the peak, the long climb behind us. Years of struggle to discover, who are we? Would you go back, be young again, pursue your career, raise your children to adults, endure the pain to feel the joy? I would not for a second. My climb is mine, as yours belongs to you. Every choice we made along the way, our friends in common, our shared widowed life, our desire for love, all that brought us together and led us to this place. Let us cherish this moment while we are able. Then let us let go without asking for more. Thank you. And the last one, I guess it maybe takes being 88 to decide this is really what I think. It's called Credo. Within my speck of time, from birth to death, every choice I make matters. Yet chance plays a role. All my thoughts and actions should be weighed for truth. Every word I speak will exist in generations to come. Every kindness I offer sends forth light in the universe. I am as resilient as a tree, yet vulnerable as a reed. The energy of my spirit, formed before I was born, will live forever when I am gone.